loving this so much, loving what wrestling is, and then you get the opportunity to be a part of it. I get to be behind the curtain. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this. I wanted to announce. He's like, Kloss, I'm going to audition color guys, but you've got the play-by-play job. Billy was, you almost wouldn't think he's has anything to do with pro wrestling. Other guy took his craft very serious. These are the two guys that are going to be it. Really didn't know what we were going to do. I'm not going to lie, man. It was a freaky, scary thing. I was one of the few guys that was there from the very beginning to the very end of the 1.0 era. The would-be CWR Classic Wrestling Revolution. We recorded the pilot, and it was myself and Roddy Piper, man. He was working with Paul Heyman. A lot of people don't know this.
Ladies and gentlemen, hosted by Coach C, Chris Sanders, this is Best for Business.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. Another episode of Best for Business. I'm pumped for this one. Kris Kloss, man, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. Best for Business. Wow, this is great. Good to be a part of the show. We've been talking for a little while to get this, get the stars aligned, and hey, we're here. Let's do this. I'm ready, man.
I'm pumped for this one. Now, one thing I'm curious on right off the rip, obviously for your career in general, where did you gain that confidence? Because whether it's interviews, commentary, you always had that presence. So I'm curious for you, how did you gain it originally, or did you always have it?
You know. Ooh, that's a loaded question. I guess oh my gosh, man. Let's see. I guess it goes back to my childhood when I discovered that I was funny and I could make people laugh. I think when that happened, the ball started rolling then. I started doing impersonations in school. Whenever we'd have a substitute teacher, let's say in the middle of class, I would do impersonations. So I would, like Howard Finkel, for example, ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Rosenthal will not be here today. Substituting will be Mr. Spit, and then stuff like that. But yeah, no, the love for wrestling, probably acquiring that at such a young age, realizing, I think too, that I kind of understood the business, a little bit before my friends did.
Okay.
So I was having fun with it when others were realizing, oh, this is fake, this is not real, But I was just embracing all of it. I love the tongue-in-cheek aspect of pro wrestling. And then once I knew that, I think it came from my childhood, knowing that I was knowledgeable about this stuff. I was the wrestling guy. Like if you went to my high school reunion, it'd be like, oh, Chris, he's the WWF guy. He's the wrestling guy, which is what a lot of us are, right? That love the business. But so once I knew it was in my blood. I could nail like the Fink. I could nail like those guys. I was confident, and also loving this so much, loving what wrestling is, and then you get the opportunity to be a part of it. I get to be behind the curtain. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this. So that excitement, I think, led to what you called me being confident, is just the joy of being there,
Nice.
Also.
When did you take the initiative to finally help behind the scenes or whatever you did at first?
So here and where are you?
I'm in Rhode Island, so I'm 3 hours ahead of you.
You are? Okay. Well, thanks for staying up for me.
Absolutely.
For doing this, man. 8 a.m. my time, 11 but thank you. So there was this place in Southern California called Slammers Wrestling Gym. I don't know if you ever heard of this place.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. This place was literally This is probably the only place on planet Earth that was like this. It was not only in America, probably on the planet. It was just this undescript location, industrial part of the valley in a place called San Fernando, Silmar. It's like the north end, little bit of the barrio part of the valley,
Hmm.
and near Pacoima, if you know where that is. That's where Richie Valens, all that, where you see
Nice.
La Bamba, that's where he came from. Actually, not to cut off track, but Danny Ramirez, referee for XPW, he found the Valens house, and we did a podcast there with his family, yet
Wow.
to air. This is a few years ago, so our producers got to get this rolling. Anyway, I digress. This place, Slammers, was run by a guy named Vern Langdon, who was somewhat of a name in the territory days of Southern California, the Grand Olympic Auditorium. Um, I'd say mid Carter, whatever. He never
Yeah.
gained that. But when he opened this gym, um, you had, when you go into a Jewish deli, you go into an Italian restaurant, you have all the celebrities that have come in, the
Yeah.
pictures, the 8x10s. That's what the lobby was at Slammers. You
Okay.
had every 8x10 you could think of, just off the top of my head. Everybody from the Hart family, Iron Mike Sharp, the Sharp brothers, Jim Cornette, everybody,
Yeah.
everybody from every gamut. So back in those days, it was like insider knowledge that, hey, when we come to LA, whether it's WWF, WCW, or even whoever, Japanese, Mexican guys, they would stop in and pay their respects to Slammer's Wrestling Gym. There
Wow.
were no other places like this in the world. So you go into the lobby, which really was, if you can imagine, a mechanic shop,
Hmm.
which is what this building was. The lobby of where you pay the guy to fix your car, that's the lobby where all these pictures were. Then
Wow.
you go into where the lift was and where you car, that was the arena, right?
Yeah.
So you had one row of chairs around the ring. You had these old pictures of these classic pictures of the Grand Olympic days. And then even in this little studio, you had like scaffolding arena event lights to make
Wow.
it look like an arena. But this was
Yeah.
just a room at the garage where you'd fix a car, the size of that.
Yeah.
So then where the part next to the office where you would pull the car in, there you had like these cases of like Hall of Fame cases. You had the fabulous Mullah's robe. You had the original Russians with
Wow.
the Soviet flag. Um, 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 Mil Mascaras. And you had like, so can you imagine, like, when this is in the days of kayfabe was still going on.
Yeah.
So there was a thing called cable radio network at the time. It was cable TV, and you would just see like what was on later. It was just one of
Hmm.
those weird channels, but it was a radio channel. So you had a wrestling show called Wrestle Talk with Dynamite D, and he hosted this, and you'd call in, and keep in mind, this was not a Dave Meltzer thing. He was talking kayfabe. So
Hmm.
you're calling in
Yeah.
kayfabe. It was awesome,
Yeah.
and so you try to stump him looking on kayfabe stuff, but he
Yeah.
was traditional. So he was part of Slammer's Wrestling Gym.
Okay.
Lucky for Slammers, he had that radio show. So he promoted Slammers on there, and they wouldn't have had that if it was Dynamite D did that on his own. He didn't do that through Slammers. So the stars aligned there too for Dynamite D, cable radio, and Slammers. So Slammers got a lot of traction at that time. People started to get to really know about this place. Jason Hervey, Missy Hyatt, between contract negotiations, she was part of Slammer's Wrestling Gym, along with Jason Hervey from the
Wow.
Wonder Years, Dan Farron. Dan Farron, but Vince Russo, and I'm blanking. I know he's my friend, Ed Ferreira. Sorry, Ed Ferreira was beautiful Bruce Bodine, so he started at Slammers. Um, so this place was like, this is just this
Yeah.
holy grail. Like, how does this place even exist? Kind of. So I would go there with my friends from high school, and his dad, who was a big fan, took us. Um, and I was starting to talk to Vern. This is probably early mid '90s. I
Wow.
was still in high school.
Yeah.
I didn't graduate till '94. So um, I was still in high school, and I wanted to announce. So okay, come on in, come on in. Keep in mind this Vern and Slammers was beyond kayfabe.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they wouldn't even let you touch. You couldn't even touch the ring.
Wow. Yeah.
You weren't allowed to touch it. The locker room, all that. It was so kayfabe, which was a beautiful thing. You know, like
Hmm.
we were like, oh, come on, tell us. But looking back now, like, no, that was beautiful. You know, that was
Yeah.
awesome. So 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 one thing led to another. Dynamite D and Vern had a falling out. This was like right around the time I was going to start up with Slammers. So Slammers kind of shut down. Then they ended up moving locations. In the medium, Dynamite D, referee Patrick Hernandez, and Kevin Kleinrock, who Kevin was doing stuff with Slammers, like he was being like the mock like Jack Tunney president. I want
Okay.
to say.
Yeah.
Of course, Pat was a referee, one of the best. Dynamite, of course, was a wrestler. So they broke off, formed SCCW, Southern California Championship Wrestling, which really was one of the only indie leagues operating in Southern California. There was UIWA, there was Gary Key, who was Tool in XPW, and
Yeah.
he was a WWE jobber. He was IWF, and then there was SCCW. That was it.
Hmm.
That was it for Southern California back in the late '90s.
Yeah.
There, because before that, Slammers, that was it, you know.
Hmm.
And then maybe Lucha stuff would come up north, you know.
Yeah.
But all you had was WCW, WWF. You didn't have indies weren't a thing back then. They weren't even, I don't think, even called indie. It was just a small wrestling company, really WWF style in a gym, huh? You know, like
Yeah.
no one knew. So I got back in contact with them, like, hey, what's going on? I see you not with Slammers, and oh, okay, yeah, you want a ring announce, right? Okay, great. There's the U-Haul, put the ring together. There's your introduction to ring
Yeah.
announcing, right? So we all had to do that. You know, that
Yeah.
was it's a little bit different now. Some guys have to do that, but some guys get through without paying their dues. That didn't exist back then either.
Hmm.
Nobody got through without not paying their dues one way or another. So that was it. I became Kris Kloss, the ring announcer for SCCW, and I did my Fink. I was the Fink the whole
Yeah.
time. I mastered that, and I did it, and it gave, let's say, mainstream audience, people that wouldn't go to indie wrestling, it'd give them a familiarity, like, oh, that's like the WWF style. Listen
Yeah.
to the ring, you know. So that was my introduction
Nice.
into pro wrestling. I'll let you take it from here, because now and then it goes into where XPW started, pretty much where I
So
left
before
off.
that, real quick, I'm curious, what is like your training for like ring announcing? Like, who is like your biggest mentors, I guess, for it?
I mean, the guys I grew up with, Howard
Okay.
Finkel, Gary
Yeah.
Michael Capetta, I thought was
Nice.
a great ring announcer, very underrated in my opinion. And then I remember he got let go right before the big NWO boom, which I never understood.
Hmm.
Nothing against Dave Penzer, which
Yeah.
I've met, a nice guy. I was just a huge Gary Michael Capetta and the Fink were so unique. They didn't
Yeah.
just sound like an Penzer. Those guys were good, but they were sounding very similar to other announcers. Where Capetta, Fink, I love those guys. Um, um, Mean Gene, Gorilla Monsoon. I mean, all the guys we grew up with. Gordon Soley. I was a big fan of Bill Mercer
Wow.
from World Class. I thought he was severely underrated. Bill
Yeah.
Mercer. We don't talk about him as much, you know, as we do Gordon Soley. So I thought he was very underrated,
Nice.
very good. Lance Russell was another one. Lance Russell, growing up in LA, we had Chick Hearn for the Lakers, we had Vin Scully for the Dodgers, and Lance Russell always reminded me he was like the Vin Scully of pro wrestling. He and Lance Russell and Vin Scully very similar. You know, that calm kind of.
Yeah.
He's the grandfather, commentating, telling the story for you of wrestling, of baseball.
Yeah.
So all those guys were great. And again, man, a lot of it was just understanding the business at a young age, not fully.
Yeah.
Still have to work behind the scenes. You know, as much as I thought I knew, there's a lot I still didn't know.
Yeah.
But I did remember kind of understanding this before my friends did at a younger age.
Mhm.
And as I'm sure you can attest, elementary school, everybody loves wrestling. High school, it's not cool anymore. They grew out of it. Junior high school is that in between time.
Yeah.
You're kind of watching it, you're kind of not. And I was senior year, 94. Oh my gosh, I was the staunch defender of pro wrestling. First off, it's not cool anymore because you're in high school. Second
Yeah.
of all, it was like the low of the new generation era. It was like I was it.
Yeah.
So guys that I know that are like 4-5 years younger than me, wrestling was hot when they were seniors. I'm like, oh, you should have been when I was a senior, man. I had to defend wrestling,
Yeah.
you know?
Wrestling's
But
not even cool nowadays. Like I went to private Catholic high school and elementary schools, and like I was like the wrestling kid.
yeah, right. And yeah, if you, I don't know what year you graduated high school, but like if you were during
23.
that, sorry?
2023.
Okay, so yeah, it's just so different now.
Yeah.
So different now. I mean, we talked about that on our show on Extreme Memories a
Yeah.
little bit with how wrestling we used to be that entity that needed to prove itself, that was a mom and pop. Now it's almost like it's become part of this pop culture corporate world,
Yeah.
that it was like the antithesis of, it was that weird wonky thing to go watch. It wasn't part of the mainstream. But when it became the main popular with the mainstream on its own, like in the rock and wrestling 80s Hogan era, like the Attitude NWO era, it was so cool because this isn't like part of mainstream, but it's as popular as mainstream.
Yeah.
Now it's like it's become part of this corporate conglomerate. So it's just so different to look at it of like what's cool. Like it was punk rock back then.
Mhm.
It was punk rock becoming big, where like the mainstream now it's become arena rock, commercialized arena rock, right? And
Yeah.
it's big because it's got the corporations backing it, helping it, whereas then it got big on its own,
Yeah.
you know, and it was so much cooler, I thought, then.
Yeah.
But no, that was my start. And
Nice.
like I said, this, I basically left it off right there before like kind of the XPW things started.
Yeah.
You know?
When we talk about high school, I'm over here watching XPW matches in class. So the fact that I'm interviewing you, man, it's crazy. So thank you again.
Dude, my pleasure, man. That's awesome. And hey, you'd be surprised, man, how many people still ask about the XPW, Wrestling Society X as well.
Yeah.
Short-lived, but people still ask about it. And just all the crazy moments in pro wrestling and in XPW history they asked me about. I'm sure you're gonna get into that.
Well,
you know,
you said it first. I'm curious. Wrestling Society X, people starting to get into it, but at the time, insane. How did your opportunity come to be for that?
pretty simple. I auditioned, and Kevin Kleinrock was a part of it. It was his idea basically, but it wasn't his say. It was the guy who ran Big Vision Entertainment, by the name of Houston Curtis.
Okay.
He kind of he swooped in when Rob went out of business for the first iteration, XPW 1.0 in 2003. When that went out of business, Houston swooped in and bought the trademark, bought the copyright for XPW. And he was running a video distribution company that put out shows like Ghost Hunters for the Sci-Fi Network. And then all those World Series of Poker, that was all him.
Wow.
So I mean, Phil Hellmuth, Andy Duke, they would all come into the office, if you know poker.
Yeah.
And so he had the rights to XPW. So before it was going to like get possibly relaunched, Houston went to MTV, had a meeting, and it was for, I want to say, something to do with poker or blackjack. I'm not sure. Kevin Kleinrock, who was working for Houston after XPW folded, he said, "Hey, Houston, on your in your meeting after you're done pitching your show, do you mind pitching this? I got an idea. It's about an underground wrestling hiding from the world punk rock vibe, music playing, and wrestling going, explosions, all that. hiding from the world. And he wanted to call it Rancid Wrestling. And it was going to be with the band Rancid. And then Houston's like, okay, I'll try, no promises. Well, long story short, they turned down his poker show and they loved Wrestling Society X.
Wow.
So Houston was a fan of my work already. He did audition a ton of people, and then halfway through, he's like, Kloss, you forget it. You got it. I'm not going to do these auditions. I'm going to audition color guys, but you got the play-by-play job. And oh my gosh, thank you so much, Houston. I appreciate it. Houston was such a good guy, man.
Yeah.
Still is a good guy. But yeah, so that's kind of how it happened with Wrestling Society X, and then we were off to the races.
How did that work, the recording process?
Recording process?
Like, did they do it like in episodes, or did they do it like all in one shot, or how did it work for you?
We filmed the pilot in February. Once we filmed it and we cut it and the network picked it up, then later that year we filmed the rest of the 9 episodes, because there was 10 episodes in the season. And we filmed those 9 episodes in about, I think, 3 days, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
3 days. And we had to, if you remember GQ Money, who was the ring announcer, he lost his voice. So we were like 3 days on top of each other. And there was a couple later episodes where you see him talking, but it's his voice, but he had to dub it over and match his lips. Because we were 3 days in a row. And I remember after day 1, I was like, holy shit, I got to be careful. I can't talk for the rest of the night, you know, because we were retaking. We were there all day long.
Yeah.
And we had to redo stuff. And I remember 3 days in a row, holy crap. Like I remember I was drinking tea, lemon, all that, honey, and not talking. I couldn't talk at all after I was done working. So.
Wow. So we talk your career and your resume. Obviously, we talked about it. XPW. I'm curious for you. You talk about the California wrestling scene, but I'm curious for you how this opportunity for XPW came, and what was your initial reaction about it?
So basically leaving off with SCCW.
Yep.
We were doing shows throughout Southern California, and when WWEF at the time and WCW would come to town, we would flyer. Like, we were hitting the streets, we were flyering the parking lot, all that. We flyered the Arrowhead Pond sometime in late 97 or early 98. I want to say it was early 98. And we flyered like we normally do. Well, Rob Black, who owned an adult film company called Xtreme Associates, who back in those days, adult film was making a lot of money. It was still video cassette. Yeah. Not even DVDs came out yet. So, I mean, I want to say Rob's net worth, from what I remember, what I heard was like $10 million, something, you know.
Yeah.
So, and $10 million in the late 90s too. Yeah. So that was, what's the equivalent now? Maybe, I don't know, 25 million or something. Yeah. But right. So he got our flyer. I don't know if you know much about his past at the time. He was working with Paul Heyman. A lot of people don't know this.
Okay.
He was working with Paul Heyman in conjunction with supplying him girls, like, because he had all these contract girls for the porn industry. Jasmine St. Clair, all these girls would, and there's old ECW footage where she would appear, and other girls too, just to give it that edginess that ECW was going for. So it was kind of a perfect fit at the time. But if you know Rob Black and if you know Paul Heyman, eventually they're similar, but because they're similar, they're going to butt heads, you know, and they kind of, if you know them both, they got it in their own way. They got to be the head honcho, you know? Yeah. So something happened. I don't know the exact details, but it was an unharmonious parting of ways. And the word at the time was Rob was not just supplying Heyman with girls, but he was going to be the kind of the liaison of starting to, somehow he was going to be involved in putting on when ECW was going to come out west and start doing shows out west. So that didn't happen. And then Rob said, screw it. I'm going to form my own company and enter in XPW. And right around that same time, he got our flyer at Arrowhead Pond for SCCW. Fast forward, and the rest is history. But that's really the genesis. You can almost say that SCCW became XPW.
Okay.
Not totally. There
Yeah.
was a lot of revamping, but the not the ashes, but the the remnants of SCCW pretty much became XPW.
Yeah. When you talk XPW, I'm curious, do you remember that first interaction you had with Larry Rivera?
Ha. So okay, so they ribbed me. By the way, they
Okay.
they pulled a nasty rib on me, which was I came into the office, and Josh Lazy was friends, who was in the band Danzig,
Okay.
and he actually left the band Danzig to do XPW.
Wow.
So he came in, and we needed a color guy. So but when they said, hey, this is Larry Rivera, he Pat Hood, but he's been doing stuff as Larry Rivera. He's in this big band called Brujeria, which is a big band
Yeah.
where they wear lucha masks. And then he was in another band, Foreign Object, and they're pretty big bands.
Hmm.
And so they're like, yeah, Kloss, you're out, man. It's Rivera's the guy now. And what, and they pulled that for a good chunk of time until it's like, no, you guys are partners. Da 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 da.
Wow.
So when I first saw him in that, there was a little tension, and then they finally were like, no, 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 no. So when they said no, 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 I was so relieved that it was a good interaction. So
Nice.
so that initial, like, who the hell is this guy? It
Yeah.
didn't last that long, because they saw I was like pissed, and I was like, I was broken,
Yeah.
like, this is my dream, and what. So
Wow.
they stopped it right away when they saw that it was so devastating, that news to me. So no, when I first met, it was fine, and
Nice.
and it really didn't. We had no problems with each other, but our chemistry didn't gel it took a few months.
Okay.
But once it did, it was great.
Yeah. Is there a favorite match from XPW's history that you were on the call for, you think?
Okay, that your like favorite match or favorite match that I called?
That you've called?
I mean, it's, to me, the big moments in XPW
Hmm.
that people talk about is pretty epic as far as I'm concerned. So when I hear myself calling Vic Grimes and New Jack,
Yeah.
knowing that video has got tens of millions of
Yeah.
views, people do reaction videos to that aren't even wrestling related people. I mean, that's special to me.
Yeah.
You know, I did like our work, watching some of the stuff back in recent years. I did like our work at a show called Damage Incorporated at the Grand Olympic, and that was when after the whole debacle with Messiah happened, right?
Hmm.
And so Messiah was gone, and also Lazy and Sabu were going at
Hmm.
this time. They were going adios, and the way we did it was Rob Black had to fight Lazy and Sabu, if I remember
Okay.
correctly. Or did Rob Black team up with someone? No, he was supposed to team up with the Messiah
Okay.
to go against Lazy and Sabu, and Messiah was gone. So he's like, no, I'm gonna go at it. I'm gonna do it myself. So he was wearing this, like, this, it almost looked like a dog catcher hockey kind of outfit with the
Yeah.
dread, and he had the dreads. And then he's like, no, I quit. And he went to the dressing room, and then they brought him back through the curtain, but it was really white trash Johnny Webb dressed exactly like Rob Black.
Wow.
And so then New Jack came and threw a few minutes later. And then, so Webb is like holding his own, and
Yeah.
Rivera and I were like, wow, look at this newfound energy. Rob Black, unbelievable. And then New Jack comes out and throws the real Rob Black in. And we're like, huh? Hey. And then wait a minute, wait just a minute. So I
Yeah.
mean, cheesy, but I look back at that. I think we did a really good job
Nice.
kind of selling that. So those are those moments like that I'm proud of,
Yeah.
being able to be really a part of this and adding. We're not just telling the story. I don't want to be there just to tell the story. I want to contribute. I want to put a cherry on top of what these guys are already doing. And
Nice.
those are the moments that make me proud that I'm contributing just as much, or maybe even making the match that much better just by the commentary.
Yeah.
That's what I strive for. That's what I'm proud of when that happens.
Nice. You mentioned one person. I'm curious, is there a Messiah a story that stands out to you?
And besides, well, I mean, there's one Messiah story that stands out to everybody.
Yeah.
Um, no, Billy was pretty Billy was just, if you saw him in real life, you not only was he such a normal guy,
Yeah.
but you almost wouldn't think he's has anything to do with pro wrestling.
Wow.
Like he just comes off like that. So in real life, Billy was, I'm not saying boring at all. I'm saying he was very unassuming. He kept to himself,
Mhm.
and but he was a professional. He really took his craft seriously. And
Nice.
those are the guys that stuck around. I don't really have a Billy story. I remember Billy kind of in those days, he kind of held himself like
Yeah.
that. I would say he's mellowed out a bit since then, but I remember I was like trying to get him to crack, but he wouldn't crack. He was like, I'm the Messiah, and
Yeah.
not I'm the Messiah, but he was just, I couldn't get him to crack. And I remember we were all at Staples Center. We were all at Staples Center for Raw. And we were there to promote and do whatever, get on TV, XPW, whatever. And we were all sitting next to each other, and I went to the food thing, got whatever, and I remember I got a thing of licorice. I'm like the only person that likes black licorice.
Okay.
Everyone else likes red. I know I'm
Yeah.
weird, but I love black. So
Yeah.
anyway, I have this package they had licorice there, and a lot of times they don't have black, where you go. And when they do, I always get it. So okay, got the licorice. And this is such a little moment,
Yeah.
but I always wanted to crack him up, And so I offered him. I'm like, you want some licorice? And then I break the licorice, like a third of the way on top, and I'm holding it like a cross. I'm like, hey man, you want some licorice? And he's like, no, I'm good. And he looks down and he goes, like
Yeah.
I always remember that. It was just a little moment, but
yeah.
I got him.
Nice.
I got him to crack up.
What about Chaos? Is there a story that stands out about him?
Chaos, another guy
Okay.
that took his craft very seriously.
Yeah.
And I want to say that, like, in a way, Chaos and Messiah were those two guys that, let's say, compare it to the Hogan era of wrestling. It was almost like when Ultimate Warrior and Hogan fought each other.
Yeah.
It was almost like these are the two guys that are gonna be it.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder which one. That's how it was with those guys. They were very talented. They both had the look, and they had it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was always interesting to see where that was going to go. And then when Chaos turned heel, and then boom, he took off with that Rock Superstar gimmick, and Messiah was hot too.
Yeah.
So no, Chaos. I don't have like a backstage story off the top of my head, but very, very, very. I don't want to say underrated because they got their due in XPW, but those were like the two guys that you're like, man, they both have the look, they both have the skills.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder which one of these two is gonna. One of them will, but then everything kind of got, with Rob and Messiah, so we never got to really see the competition with those two.
So you talk about, obviously I don't want to bore you, but I know recently you celebrate an anniversary, and I know it comes up often, so I'm curious for you, in your perspective, what was like the day in the life, the day of Heatwave 2000?
Okay, yeah, we just did that. You're right. We just did the 25th anniversary.
Crazy,
Can't believe it. And that's on the Xtreme Memories.
I'll link it, yeah.
So youtube.com/the wrestling
I'll
chatter.
put it up there, everything.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And we have the episode archived. Okay, thank you, Chris.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we did the 25th anniversary of Heatwave. That was at the Grand Olympic. And, you know, to be honest, Chris, it was like one of those things where we really didn't know what we were going to do. It was really like we're putting one foot in front of the other, getting to that event.
Yeah.
And we got there. We all, some arrived in a limo, some we carpooled, some we drove. I remember I did drive, and we got out of the car. Not all the fans, but like a good chunk of the fans kind of came up to us, autographs, all that stuff. And remember, we were like riding a big wave at that time, because we had Sabu, we had Terry Funk, and the 1 week after Heatwave was going to be 6 days later. We had a show at the LA Sports Arena called Go Funk Yourself, and the Grand Olympic and the LA Sports Arena, a mile apart from each other, you know.
Yeah.
So we had you know, people come up to us, all this, and we kind of got together like, okay, guys, we have these seats up top, we have these seats down low. So we all just kind of ended up where we were.
Yeah.
And when we got there, I remember thinking, a lot of us were thinking, you know, I don't want to disrespect, like, this is a wrestling show, and when you're a worker, you can't disrespect somebody when they're wrestling, you know. So I'll be honest, we probably wouldn't have pulled the trigger to do anything, just sit in the front row and get noticed, make our presence felt. Because the whole reason why we did anything in the first place was we took exception to ECW coming to the West Coast. They never been here before.
Yeah.
And they were kind of throwing salt in our game. You know, we were making some major waves. We just got syndicated, and now they come into our backyard. So that's where people on our side of things and XPW took exception.
Yeah.
And so, but at the same time, it's like, let's just get noticed, right? If you look at where we were, Kevin Kleinrock bought those tickets. It wasn't a hookup or anything.
Yeah.
So he went like the night before, early in the morning, to Tower Records. And you know, when you look at the seating chart map, you see where the aisleway is.
Yeah.
And then so you know the hard cam's either here or here.
Yeah.
So it's a flip of the coin, and he happened to pick the side the hard cam was on. It was a 50-50 chance, and he picked the wrong side. So, okay, so we're on that side. We didn't really get noticed much. Now, I think what happened was this. What lit the fire under our asses to kind of get pissed off was when we got there, we were met pretty rudely by the security and the ticket people as we went into the building, because they got tipped off that we were going to be there and maybe do something. So not only us, but the fans, everybody, no XPW shirts. You had to turn them inside out. XPW signs, anything like that, were to be confiscated. WWF, WCW, Japan, FMW, you know, like, because the Xtreme fans had all this stuff, Lucha, whatever, all of it was allowed.
Okay.
And so that's when Supreme, Joey, everybody, all of us, like, what the hell? That is some bullshit. Da, da, da. Now, I think, Chris, I think strongly, if that didn't happen, we probably wouldn't even be talking about it today.
Right, yeah.
We would have been there. Maybe, remember when you saw the XPW guys sitting there? Yeah, they were ringside. That would have been the extent of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure, but very likely that wouldn't have happened. So you know, we felt, hey, freedom of speech and like all this stuff. Like, kidding me, dude? Our stuff, but everyone else's. That was what lit the fire.
Yeah.
That's what lit the fire.
So what's
and it was a scary, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, man. It was a freaky, scary thing when that shit all went down. It was the Wild West, dude.
Yeah.
We didn't know if I was going to get to my car in one piece, all this, you know, so.
Yeah. How old are you at the time?
Okay. 2000. So I would have been, why am I blanking? Let's see. So, 24.
Wow.
24.
Wow. So
Yeah.
how does your XPW journey go? Because I remember you were with XPW, you did a reunion show. What was it, 2008? After later on?
2008, we did Cold Day in Hell.
Yep.
2009, we did the 10-year anniversary, the XPW X, and that was that's like the XPW 2.0 era.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's your journey from XPW?
What's my journey
So
from?
when you're in XPW, when do you stop going to XPW? Because isn't 2008 after a while? Or are you still with them at the time?
Yeah, so XPW ran from 99 to 2003,
Yep.
and I was one of the few guys
Yeah.
that was there from the very beginning to the very end of the 1.0 era.
Yeah.
It was myself, Patrick Hernandez, referee,
Okay.
Supreme,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Wow.
And the only other ones was Rob, Kevin Kleinrock, Lizzie Borden, Tom Byron. But I'm talking about the performers, not the
Yeah.
guys running the show. It was myself, Supreme, and Pat. Those were the only three that went
Wow.
from day one to the end. And then we were there for 2.0, and then I came in for 3.0, but then I didn't finish off with them. So
Yeah. So what was
yeah.
it like 2021? What was like the locker room? Not like the locker room boy. What was the difference from XPW from the first point to around like 2021?
I mean, it felt cool to be back in 21, but like I was saying in the beginning, like how in the indie scene,
Mhm.
SCCW, and there were two others in all of Southern California.
Yeah.
That being there during that time, that this is a very exclusive fraternity. Kayfabe is still kept going
Okay.
pretty significantly
Yes.
still. Not early '80s kayfabe, but I mean, it wasn't like today where everyone knows everything, right?
Mhm.
So it was grittier.
Yeah.
There was a lot of paying your dues. There's a lot of ribs. There's the you don't you there were no safe spaces back then at
Yeah.
all, right?
Yeah.
Um, it was underground punk rock, and the really the difference was the era we were in, and also the feel. When kayfabe was more of a thing, you really felt it in the locker room. You
Okay.
felt like, whoa, this the difference from being on this side of the curtain and that side. That part faded away up to 2021.
Yeah.
So that's probably the thing I noticed the most, being different,
Mhm.
was that, wow, we're back here, we get to be back here, because guys would lose their job, lose their position, um, or get punished big time for like dropping kayfabe and putting themselves over with the fans. Like they that was a no.
Yeah.
So those rules don't really apply anymore. So that vibe doesn't exist like it used to. I'd say that was the biggest difference.
Nice. So when we talk about your career, obviously, huge fan of the Extreme Memories podcast. I'm curious for you, when was this like the idea behind it, and what were your ultimate goals with it? Because I love it. All of a sudden, we'll have Larry on. You've had Messiah, all these top guys, Altar Boy, Luke. So what was like the idea originally behind it? Because a lot of these stories haven't been told before.
Right. I was approached to do this about 10 years ago,
Yeah.
and kind of talking, it never transpired. Um, and then the producer was busy, I was busy. Then enter the pandemic. Hey, let's do this. What
Yeah.
better time to do this? So yeah, like that was, you're right, man. I always said pro wrestling is so interesting to people because we're just hearing about so much of this stuff for the first time, not just XPW. Like, for example, if you have entertainment, if you have the world of sports, um, let's say Sylvester Stallone does a movie. You watch the movie, you suspend your disbelief. Say Kobe Bryant, LeBron James are on the basketball floor. You're watching, you're suspending disbelief. You're immersed in the game.
Yeah.
Those guys can come on the Tonight Show right after that movie, right after that game, and do that throughout their career.
Mhm.
Pro wrestling, um, Hulk Hogan, The Rock, Stone Cold, um, they held kayfabe, so they couldn't do go on these interviews like a movie star, like a musician, like an athlete. So in recent years, pro wrestling, the shoot interviews, all this is so fascinating to people because we're hearing that interview for the first time
Yeah.
now. Right. And so that what better way to lift the veil and do it for XPW. They wanted me to do it because I was kind of the face of the company was from day one to the end.
Yeah.
And I was, for the longest time, Chris, like even in the WSX days, Wrestling Society X, when the industry was shifting and it was kind of dropping kayfabe, I didn't like it at all.
Okay.
I didn't want to be a part of that. I wanted to hold on as long as I could. I enjoyed the shoot interviews, but I just remember thinking like, man, that's going to ruin this side of the curtain and this experience. That's going to take it all away. And it's not preserving the industry. But as you know, man, after a while, it was just like the toothpaste is completely out of the tube.
Yeah.
We're just not going to put it back in.
Yeah.
So I agreed to do it. And man, a lot of fun, especially when we first started. Like you said, stories haven't been heard before.
Yeah.
So it was like, and I remember feeling a responsibility like, all right, I'm kind of spearheading this. This is it. This is the first time all this is really going to be out there.
Yeah.
And so it is exciting.
Yeah.
It is exciting. And there are a lot of people that were so entertained by XPW and loved it. And we're such big fans that this is, I'm happy to share these stories. There was a point in my life that I thought for sure that I'm going to just go to the grave with all this stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, because that's just how we ran.
Yeah.
That's just how we worked. And that's what wrestling was. Like there was a point in time where absolutely not. I'll never share what just happened on TV or this when the camera was off. Like I just assumed that's it. It's going to the grave, and because we were at the end of that wave, with XPW, we were pretty much right at the end of that wave where it was like, no, you can't drop kayfabe. And so right when XPW like ended was like right when the shoot interview started really kind of kicking off,
Do you have a favorite episode you've done?
I mean, I did have to gig one episode. I gigged.
Wow.
I gigged on episode 80.
Okay.
There were approximately 140 XPW TV episodes total.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's my most memorable.
Yeah.
Is when I got to the office, Kevin greeted me, and he never usually greets me, and he was overly enthusiastic and happy. It was kind of one of those, okay, Kevin, what's wrong? What do you want?
Yeah.
And he goes, hey man, we want you to gig. We really want you to make a part of the show. It's like after a while, I'm like, okay, you don't have to keep selling me. I'll do it.
Yeah.
And I remember Supreme, Kaos, Webb, Matt Sinister, who played the guy Crimson. They were all like, yeah, come on, Kloss. All right. Like I popped my cherry, I'm initiated into a gang, Here, first you take the aspirin, then you get the blade and you do this, and then you drink beer. So it thins your blood and da, da, da. So that, I like the ones we did like on location when we were looking for Supreme throughout Hollywood, California, and doing those bumpers like on the street, running into real people and using those,
Yeah.
There's so many episodes.
Yeah.
That I just love the fact that I was a part of it, man.
Yeah.
That I was there every week. It was a grind. I'm not going to lie. We were there at times when we drove home. The sun was already coming up for the next day.
Wow.
Ask Rivera. He'll tell you the same thing. We were there all night sometimes.
Wow.
But I wouldn't trade it for anything, man. It was like, we're doing this. We're living our dream. It's pro wrestling. And we're even preserving this industry. We're keeping kayfabe. We're adding to the legacy of professional wrestling, and we're part of that. And we're on TV every week nationwide. Yeah. Like, dude, this is awesome.
The
so
dream,
I took it so seriously. I was so dedicated to it, and I was dedicated, and I respected the craft so much that I forgot almost sometimes that this is silly pro wrestling, but I didn't totally because I love the tongue in cheek. I love doing all that stuff
Yeah.
with Rivera, him and I arguing over the
Yeah.
stupidest things, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
So when
So
we
yeah.
talk your career, obviously post XPW, you've done some great things. The first thing I want to ask you about, insane. How did it come to be calling a match with Piper?
Okay, so yeah, bro. I was approached by a guy named Bill Townsend who started up LinkedIn and Lycos.
Wow.
Yes, so he's a billionaire.
Yeah.
And he's with a company now called Tricar, and
Okay.
they're listed on the Nasdaq, all that. We still talk to this day. Great
Nice.
guy. So classic wrestling revolution was an idea from the minds melded from Bill Townsend, a guy named Cristo Garcia, Shane Douglas, Roddy Piper, Road Warrior Animal. China was going to be on board,
Hmm.
myself, and Cristo was excuse me, Bill contacted me right away. He knew my work from XPW. I want to say Wrestling Society X, but I know for sure XPW.
Yeah.
And he did. It was Wrestling Society X as well. Now that I remember.
Hmm.
So he contacted me, and he wanted me to be the play-by-play man
Wow.
for the would-be CWR Classic Wrestling Revolution. We filmed the pilot episode in Point Hueneme using the NWA studio with Dave Marquez, all those guys, Todd
Mhm.
Kennelly, and we used their studio. We recorded the pilot, and it was myself and Roddy Piper, man.
Yeah.
And we were calling the matches. One of the matches was Rocky Romero and Colt Toombs, which is Roddy's son. Which that
Yeah.
is, I believe, that's up on YouTube. The raw cut of
Okay.
that match, and it's him and I doing the play by play in color.
Yeah.
I mean, what a dream come true, bro.
Yeah.
And let me tell you about Roddy Piper. Is did not come off like a celebrity at all. He was a guy that was just a normal guy,
Yeah.
and never forgot where he came from. And he wanted his son to not have to go through the WWE gamut. So he was so behind this thing, healthcare for all, guaranteed retirement, all this stuff that you don't get as an independent contractor.
No. Yeah.
Okay, so the idea, so much of the idea, Chris, for what became AEW,
Hmm.
this was the blueprint.
Wow.
And there were some guys that went over from this that basically shared this idea, and AEW became what it is. So I have the experience of two different entities, Classic Wrestling Revolution, the blueprint going to what became AEW, and Wrestling Society X, the blueprint of what became Lucha Underground.
Yeah.
I got two of them
Yeah.
under my belt. But people still give props to Wrestling Society X. You've seen,
Nice.
that
Yeah.
know that Lucha Underground copied it. Whereas no one really knows about Classic Wrestling Revolution because we never had that first season. But we were lined up to have Apple TV was already on board.
Wow.
We had an arena in Vegas. It was already constructed. They use it for something else today. So I did the pilot. I got to know Piper. It was just so awesome, dude.
Yeah.
He was the best, man.
Nice.
Person. He was the best person. Introduced me to his wife, his kids. Just
Nice.
the nicest guy. Like I knew eventually, like, dude, I'm gonna be going to this guy's house. Like we're gonna have dinner together.
Yeah.
Like it was gonna happen, and we were gonna become close. So we filmed the pilot in June of 2015. Wow, 10 years ago now.
Wow.
And then I went on a vacation to Europe with my family. We had a family reunion in Finland, but we went all through Europe. When we were in Florence, Italy, CNN, global CNN news, Roddy Piper died.
Hmm.
And and I just got done filming the pilot, just got to know him. I was in Europe for a month. The week I came back from Europe, we were set to record the rest of the series.
Wow.
And Dude, I was devastated. Like
Yeah.
I was absolutely floored for so many reasons. And then mainly, I just got to know him. I got to know his family. We were
Yeah.
gonna become friends. We already did, but we were gonna. I mean, we were the team. We were gonna build a relationship, not knowing where this project now was going. Um, I was floored, dude. I
Yeah.
couldn't. My family had to tell me, look, I get it. I know but you're in Europe. You gotta go. You can't sit in bed all day.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go anywhere,
Yeah.
and I had to force myself to get up and go, and
Wow.
it was hard, dude.
Yeah.
Um, that was tough, dude, because not only as a fan, but now I'm working with him. We're supposed to do all this, and then that was brutal, dude. And so anyway, the classic wrestling revolution, it was a great experience, man.
Yeah.
It was great to get to know Piper. Colt was a good kid. His wife, Colt's siblings, Bill Townsend, working with a guy like that,
Yeah.
business mind like that. I'm happy to say we still talk. We're still friends.
Nice.
Road Warrior Animal, reuniting with Shane Douglas. Like it was a good deal, and it was going to infuse MMA with pro wrestling. Who knows where that would have gone? But then China was on board. She ends up passing away. One of the investors, the head investor, he ended up passing away. So it was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And then it was just halted. It was halted, and it was like the project's been suspended right now. Let's wait, and it just that went on for too long, and it never
Wow.
came to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when you look at your career recently, what did it feel like for you to get inducted in the IWA Hall of Fame?
Oh, Chris, man,
Yeah.
I tell you, dude. First off, they totally kayfabe me. They didn't tell me about it, which
Ah.
I totally appreciate.
Yeah.
Um, so I go out to I travel all over um for my work, but charity auctions, but for wrestling, I still get bookings all over, and this was a company, the IWA, I worked for before, and Buff Bagwell was there, Robert Gibson, Mr. Hughes, Chick Donovan. um oh man, forgive me, I'm missing some other legends, dude. Tommy Dreamer.
Yeah.
um so to be in those guys company was beyond an honor, dude.
Yeah.
And so when the show started, I was going out to the ring to introduce the show along with the IWA execs, and they were handing me the plaque to hand to the guys, and my plaque was the last one, and they handed it to me, and I was just, oh man, dude,
Nice.
yeah, it was a beautiful moment, man. I can't thank those guys enough, dude. And then the fans too, man. The fans in the South, I don't want to say anywhere the fans are better than anywhere else, but the
Yeah.
fans in the South, dude, are just awesome.
Nice.
They still believe,
Yeah.
they still believe,
Yeah.
like the Lucha. I'd say the Lucha and the Southern fans are the closest thing to old school days,
Nice.
where that still believe kind of thing,
Yeah.
and it makes for a great show. So yeah, man, I didn't have a speech prepared at all. Um, I wasn't much of a speech. I was kind of
Yeah.
choked up, but yeah, dude, thank you for bringing that up, because that was just, I don't know where the plaque is, but it was over there somewhere. But yes,
Nice.
thank you.
When
Thank you
you
so much.
when you look at your career, obviously pro wrestling, you've done a lot, but what else have you been up to? Obviously, charity auctioneer, hosting Netflix red carpet specials. You're doing it all, man. It's great.
Well, when XPW ended, it was actually a good opportunity, because I don't know what I would have done. Rob Black would rent the ring out
Mhm.
for different projects in the back where the ring was stored in the Extreme Associates office, where training was, all that. So enter in, like, let's say this was 2000, early 2003 or late 2002.
Okay.
This producer by the name of Bill Osco.
Mhm.
There was a very big movie endorsed by Andy Warhol in the late 70s called Alice in Wonderland, the adult Alice in Wonderland. And
Okay.
then he did another movie called Flesh Gordon.
Mhm.
Okay. So these movies were extremely profitable. They're huge. This was the first time they were doing an American story, kid story, into an adult thing. This is the first time it's ever been done.
Okay.
Right. So the Alice in Wonderland grossed 90 million and back in 79.
Yeah.
Okay. So Bill Osco, he did some movies in the 80s, The Underachievers, Night Patrol, some comedies. Right. So he rented out the ring because he was doing this project called Cat Fight Wrestling. Okay, so it was raunchy. It was the girls topless, all that.
Yeah.
And I was there at the office, and I'll give a shout out to White Trash Johnny Webb. He actually called me. He said, "Hey man, there's some guys here doing stuff. I don't know if you want to come over, but it might be an opportunity. I don't know." So I went over there. Who knows? Let's see what this is all about. So they set it up. The girls were fighting. The commentator that they had, it was a woman, completely froze.
Wow.
Completely froze. So Rob and Kevin are helping filming, and they're like, "Kloss, get in there and do the commentary." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, great." And then so I did it. I throw all the humor, the all that stuff, and then did the commentary. So when the show was over, the guy Bill, he took me to the side. He goes, "Hey, my name's Bill Osco, and you are Kris Kloss." He goes, "Dude, you saved me. This was one shot we had at this. You saved my ass. You saved the show. I'm going to be doing some projects in the near future. If you're interested, you're funny. I want to hire you on." Da da da. I'm like, "Wow, thank you so much. Thank you." So a couple of months later, I get a phone call. "Hey Kris, I'm relaunching my movie Alice in Wonderland from the 70s. We're going to make it into a play. I want to cast you. You pick the part. You pick the part. You want to be the caterpillar? You want to be that?" So I looked at the script. I'm like, "Let me be the White Rabbit. I'll be the White Rabbit. I'll show Alice through Wonderland." So I became the White Rabbit. We did that in Studio City in North Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, after the summer of 03, see, it worked out perfect because XPW stopped, and then I'm starting to do this play. And then after the summer was over, we were there for like 2 months. He goes, myself and the other guy, Travis, who was an Arnold Schwarzenegger impersonator. In real life, he's a pro bodybuilder.
Wow.
So when he became the king of Wonderland, he was the king. It was like the governor because he was the governor at the time. So anyway, he goes, "Travis, Kris, pack your bags. We got offered to take this to Broadway." So we open up on 42nd Street at Theater Row, and we're doing 8 shows a week. And I moved to New York, and so we're doing 8 shows a week, 2 on Friday, 2 on Saturday. We're dark on Wednesday was our only night off, and 1 show a night. And we had Willem Dafoe came to the show, Kevin James came to the show, the cast of Sopranos were at the show. And we didn't know this until after the show. Thank goodness. Would have been nervous. But yeah, so I did off Broadway for a year after XPW. And now again, Kris, I always look back on this saying, I don't know what I would have done if XPW was still going on, because that was a huge opportunity to go back to New York and do something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know, but it literally just happened that XPW shut its doors, and then bam, that opportunity literally started not even a month later.
Wow.
Yeah.
When you look at your career nowadays, I'm curious, do you have any goals with Extreme Moments or anything else you're doing? Because your resume goes beyond wrestling like we talked about. Is there anything that you're striving to do? Because you're killing it all around.
Oh, thank you, man. I mean, I'm really focused now on the benefit charity auction business and industry. I love doing what I'm doing in that regard. I feel like all that I've learned with stage presence, all that I've learned through pro wrestling, even going to New York, but really the wrestling, that if I can use that to almost sell somebody, getting them encouraged to donate money to something that will help a worthy cause, whether it's people, whether it's the environment, whether it's children, whether it's inner city at-risk youth, Boys and Girls Club, Cedar Sinai, City of Hope, cancer research. Dude, if I can work to that, something wrestling taught me, if I can put that into a positive like this, like I'm so blessed and humbled to like be able to do work like this.
Nice.
And to be on the microphone and conduct the auction, read the room. Let's see where the money's at. Let's see how many contributions we can get, if we can break the record, if that will save a life or two.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I am completely dedicated to doing charity auctions, benefit auctions now.
Nice.
And it's an honor to be able to do that kind of work. It really is.
Yeah. Well, Kris, I want to thank you for joining me. However, I've ended every interview the same. Now, the day you decide it's all done, which isn't happening anytime soon, but the day you decide it's all done, what do you want Kris Kloss's legacy in pro wrestling to be?
Woo! You know, you're the first person to ask me this question.
Wow.
I mean, I've been asked the legacy of XPW, the legacy of WSX and all that. And, you know, even stuff like Dynamite D, who I got my start,
Yeah.
Slammers. But I don't think I've ever been asked this for myself. Wow. I mean, I want to, my legacy, if I could, that I contributed to the wrestling industry in a positive way, that I entertained people to the point where they still remember and still appreciate my work years later, not just when I did it, but years later. I think if I can do that, that would mean the world to me. And also, I'm going to steal something from Bobby Heenan, but I so saw this in myself when he said this, because when he said this right after XPW, the 1.0 era, when he got inducted to the WWE Hall of Fame, he said, you know, when I came into this business, this industry needed a swift kick in the ass with humor. It needed some humor injected into it. So XPW was gritty, it was dark, it was slick, it was sexy, it was all these things, it was punk rock.
Yeah.
It was dirty, but I carried that brand, but I always made sure to inject humor in there without taking away from the product, and it's still making sense. So
Right.
if I can do that, interject the humor, entertain the hell out of somebody watching at home, the people still talk to me like, oh, remember when you told Rivera, like still to this day, you know, I was laughing my ass off, da, da, da. If I can do that, all while still not just doing it for myself gratification, I'm doing it for the product. That's what I would love my legacy to be, for contributing in that way to professional wrestling and people still being entertained by it years later. And I can't tell you how humbled and honored I am that that's a reality, dude.
Nice.
It's because it is. And people like you, people still come up to me to this day and like they'll quote certain things I've said, you know, like on a one given episode. Dude, I can't tell you how much that means, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're an absolute legend. I want to thank you for doing this, man. I remember messaging you in like April. The fact that we make this happen all this time, man. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Kris, man. Let me know. Let me know when this airs. I'd love to see it. And you're always welcome on my show, on our channel. And I'd love to do it again, man. This was a lot of fun, Kris.
Absolutely.
Great.
Thank you for doing this. And thank you, everybody, for watching this episode. This was Best for Business.
Thank you for watching this episode of Best for Business. Don't forget